Hello everyone. In today's video, we are going to see provisions related to the cosmetics. In the previous videos, we have already seen provisions related with the sale, manufacturing, labeling and packaging of allopathic drugs. Okay. Now in this video, we are going to see the provisions related to the cosmetic. What are the sale what are the requirements for sale of the cosmetic? What are the manufacturing guidelines for the cosmetic according to this act? Then what are the labeling condition, what are the packaging condition according to this act prescribed for the cosmetic that we are going to see. In the next videos we will see about the ayurveda as well as homeopathic drug also, but in today's video we will focus on cosmetic. So for the sale of cosmetic there is no such a license is required as the allopathic drug is means when we talk about allopathic drug, to sell such allopathic drugs we require a license. Okay, that registered pharmacist should be there to sell those products. Okay, but in case of cosmetic you will easily find cosmetic product in a general store, in a any small shop. Okay, you will find the cosmetic product, or in a footpath also you will find in means street shopping you will find the cosmetics. There are different cases where you can find the cosmetics, right? The quality may be vary from from street shopping to the mall, the from Ponds to the Lakme. The different brands of cosmetics are there. But to the in simple words we can say, according to this act, drug and cosmetic act, so to sell the cosmetic we do not need license. But the dealer of cosmetic require a license for the sale of cosmetic. If I am a dealer, means I brought some cosmetic from the company itself, from various companies. I am a dealer, means basically I bought different brands of cosmetic and I circulate it to the different channels, through the different channels. Then I required the license for that license will be different, it will not that strict, but yes, it we required a license for dealing of cosmetic. Means dealer, if I am a dealer then I required a license. Then what are the manufacturing conditions? So if we want to manufacture a cosmetic, then we must apply to the licensing authority in form 31. Okay, in form 31 we have to make an application to the licensing authority that I want to manufacture a cosmetic. Okay, and then licensing authority will grant you the license in form 32. Now the validity of this license, as I already told you, that the manufacturing licenses are valid up to 31st December of the year following the year in which is granted. Means suppose it is granted in it is granted in 2019, then at the end of 2020, in the December 2020, that manufacturing license will be means that will be expired. Then conditions for grant of a license for manufacturing of cosmetics. Now what are those conditions? By we as such, if we satisfy those conditions, then they will give us permission to manufacture. There is nothing means the conditions are very not that strict as we have seen already in the allopathic dosage forms. Means the manufacturing conditions for the drugs and the storage condition of the drugs are very strict, but in case of cosmetic those criteria are not those that stringent, correct? So competent staff should be there, and that staff must be, if he is deformed, then also it will be fine. He should be registered pharmacist. Yes, for the manufacturing the requirement is there for the registered pharmacist, or past intermediate examination with chemistry or any other examination approved by the licensing authority. Means उन जो भी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग ऑफ कॉस्मेटिक के लाइसेंस के लिए अप्लाई करता है, तो फॉर दैट टू ग्रांटिंग दैट मैन्युफैक्चरिंग लाइसेंस ऑफ फॉर द कॉस्मेटिक, he should have a diploma in pharmacy. He is having diploma in pharmacy, that is meaning of that is he is a registered pharmacist. Then he should pass the examination with a chemistry as one of the subject. Okay. Or any other examination approved by the licensing authority. If licensing authority approves BSc chemistry or MSc chemistry, then also it will be fine. Then manufacturing premises should have a separated rooms from the private use. Means that manufacturing premises should be separate, and in many cases that premises is always separate. Nobody manufacture those cosmetic in house, but in certain cases some duplicate means the duplicate products are manufactured in very bad area. So the clean hygiene or the maintenance of that hygienic conditions during manufacturing is necessary. And if the drug inspector found such conditions are not that licensee is not following such conditions, such cleanliness, then he can suspend that license, or he can sue him, and the penalty should be there. Then as such, as I said earlier, that adequate space, plant and equipments should be there. Then he should have facilities for testing the final product as well as raw material. And the licensee should maintain record as specified in schedule U1. As schedule U1 is schedule U is nothing but the recording and all. So schedule U1 is for the maintaining the record of cosmetics. Okay. Manufacturer of mother tincture shall provide adequate premises for staff and laboratory equipment. Means they should provide the staff and the laboratory, means adequate premises for the staff and laboratory equipments. Now we will see import of cosmetics. So what are those import criterias? So all consignments of cosmetics sought to be imported shall be accompanied by an invoice or statement showing the name and quantities of each article of cosmetic included in the consignment, and the name and address of the manufacturer. Documents to be supplied to the custom collector before any cosmetic is imported. A declaration signed by or on behalf of the manufacturer or on behalf of the importer that the cosmetics comply with the provisions of chapter 3 of the act and the rules made thereunder shall be supplied to the custom collector. I hope you must have understood nothing, but nothing there in this big paragraph. Only they are saying, suppose I want to import the cosmetics, I should have the documentation. Yes, I order something, and if I am importing something, suppose from Europe, then the company from which I am importing, those companies should have a clear-cut document saying and mentioning the details of the product, and those should be there with the custom collectors. And upon asking, means suppose the custom collect officer asks us that show us, and if some of our man goes to the for the collection, then he should provide some documents signed by ourselves or signed by those people, those who have sent us the product. That is requirement of custom. And I think in many cases such custom requirements are there, not only in a cosmetic but also in general products also. Some, if it is contain some polymers, if it is containing some excipients, then also such requirements are there. So cosmetics comply with the provisions of chapter 3 of this act. Means what are the conditions should be followed by us, that is mentioned in the chapter 3 of this act. And those we have already seen, I think, chapter 3, the import of cosmetic or the import of drugs. So they have already also mentioned the import of cosmetics, what should be followed. And in that condition, that the custom will allow us to import any kind of cosmetic. Okay. Then procedure for import of cosmetics. Only the first sentence which I have highlighted is important. If the officer appointed at the post of entry by central government has a reason to believe that any cosmetic contravenes any of the provisions of the act or the rules made thereunder, may take sample of the cosmetic from the consignment for inspection, which is very obvious, I think. if I'm a custom officer and I suspect in the packaging under the name of cosmetic, if I'm illegally buying or I'm illegally importing some schedule X drug, schedule H drug, or the any illegal drug or any drug which is not labeled as, means if I am labeling it as a cosmetic and if it is not cosmetic, if it is a legal drug to import, means some drugs are easily we can import some drugs, okay, but still we are labeling the cosmetic and it is not the cosmetic but it is that drug, मीन्स अगर हम बता रहे हैं कुछ और उसमें है कुछ और, अगर ऐसी कंडीशन है एंड द कस्टम ऑफिसर इज सस्पेक्ट, मीन्स कस्टम ऑफिसर को अगर ऐसा कुछ लगता है तो वो वहीं पे उस जो इंपोर्ट किया हुआ पैक है उसको वो स्टॉप कर सकता है, उसमें से वो सैंपल निकाल सकता है एंड ही कैन सेंड इट टू द अथॉरिटी और द लैब्स फॉर द टेस्टिंग. Then this is nothing but means on examination of sample, if defects are noticed, the officer shall advise the collector of a custom for the further action to be taken, which is very obvious. If found guilty, then there will be a penalties for them. So this is just a simple procedure for the import of cosmetics. Then we will see further procedure on receipt of the report of analysis. If the report means if the sample of any cosmetic in a consignment contravenes the provisions of chapter 3 of the act or the rules made thereunder, then it is a duty of that custom officer that either he will send those back to the back all cosmetic, send back all those cosmetic to whom, to the country in which it was manufactured, or to which to the country where it was from where it is imported, or it will be sent to the central government to be destroyed. मीन्स क्या होगा, अगर वो गिल्टी पाया गया, अगर जो बताया वो चीज़ उसमें नहीं है, वो टेस्टिंग के रिपोर्ट में ऐसा पता चला, तो जो कस्टम ऑफिसर है वो डिसाइड करेगा, क्या करेगा, आइदर ही विल सेंड बैक टू द कंट्री वेयर इट इज़ मैन्युफैक्चर, और ही विल सेंड इट फ्रॉम वेयर इट इज़ इम्पोर्टेंट, मीन्स जहाँ से लाया वहाँ से वापस भेज दिया. और दूसरा एक तीसरा एक ऑप्शन है जो क्या करेगा, सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट के पास भेज देगा टू बी डिस्ट्रॉयड. मीन्स बहुत सारे ऐसी चीज़ें, हम इलीगल बेवरेजेस जो हमारे कॉप्स जो होते हैं वो इलीगल बेवरेजेस अगर कहाँ पे उन्होंने पकड़ लिए, कोई ट्रक टेम्पो सपोज उन्होंने पकड़ लिया, तो दे डिस्ट्रॉय दोज इलीगल बेवरेजेस बाय दैट सेल्फ ओनली, बाय देम सेल्फ ओनली. And likewise, suppose it is illegal cosmetic, that is something dangerous or it is something harmful, then obviously they will send it to central government for the purpose of destroying. Then classes of prohibited cosmetics. What kind of cosmetics prohibited under Drug and Cosmetic Act 1940? So this is the list of prohibited cosmetic. What cosmetics are prohibited? Spurious or misbranded drugs, the cosmetics which are not of standard quality, cosmetic that is imported or manufactured in the contravention of the provision of the act, which is very obvious. Then cosmetic that contains these following three substances: hexachlorophene. You have to remember this, okay? If the cosmetic contain hexachlorophene, if the cosmetic is contain coal tar color other than those prescribed, or if that cosmetic contain mercury compound, these are illegal and these are prohibited in India to import. Okay. Then cosmetic that is not only import but sale and distribution also. Cosmetic that is colored with cosmetic that is colored with arsenic or lead compounds. You already know the arsenic and lead are poisonous substances. So if that cosmetic is containing arsenic or lead, in that case that cosmetic should not be there in the market to sell, distribute, or anywhere use of that cosmetic, correct? Then cosmetic that is intended for use on eyelash, eyebrows containing coal tar dye, coal or intermediates. If that particular product is meant to be used for the eyelashes or eyebrows, And if it is containing coal tar dye or coal or intermediates, then that in that case it is prohibited for the sale or use. Cosmetic that contains such ingredients which are harmful for use. Anyway, means any ingredient which is harmful to use, that is prohibited. And this list of harmful substances is already there in various schedules. So if it is contain that substances or those substances, then it will be harmful. Labeling and packaging of cosmetics. We have every day we every day we see the products, the cosmetic products, the powders, the lipsticks, the eyeshadows, eyebrows, sorry, not eyebrows, eyeshadows, eyelashes, various cosmetic products. We every time we see on that, we will definitely see the packaging of those drugs is attractive, the labeling is attractive. So cosmetics should be labeled and packed in the prescribed manner. But in that case also there some guidelines, some there are some guidelines, means what आप चाहे कितना भी अट्रैक्टिव उसे बना लो, कुछ जो इम्पोर्टेंट चीज़ें हैं वो हम उस कॉस्मेटिक के लेबल से नहीं हटा सकते. उसमें क्या है, ऑन बोथ द इनर एंड आउटर लेबल्स द नेम ऑफ द कॉस्मेटिक ये होना चाहिए, द नेम ऑफ द मैन्युफैक्चरर, कंप्लीट एड्रेस एंड द प्रीमाइसेस ऑफ मैन्युफैक्चरर ये होना चाहिए. Provided that if the cosmetic is contained in a very small size container where the address of the manufacturer cannot be given, the name of the manufacturer and his principal place of manufacture shall be given along with pin code. I think this sentence is simple. Some cosmetics are very small in size, so you cannot put the long address on that. So in that case, this is a provision. On the outer label क्या होना चाहिए? A declaration of the net contents expressed in terms of weight for solids, fluid measures for liquid, weight for semi-solid, combined with numerical count if the content is subdivided. Provided that this statement need not appear in case of package of perfume, toilet water, or the like, the net content of which dose not exceed 60 ml, or any package of solid or semi-solid cosmetic, the net content of which does not exceed 30 ग्राम्स. सो जो ये वेट वाला पैरामीटर है उसके बारे में इन्होंने बताया है. नाउ द नेक्स्ट इज ऑन द इनर लेबल वेयर द हजार्ड एग्जिस्ट, वहाँ पे क्या होना चाहिए? एडिक्वेट डायरेक्शन फॉर सेफ यूज. Suppose it is a eyeliner, or suppose it is a lipstick which is very near to the systemic, means the if it is a harmful, if it is if the product which is meant for the use of in the eye and it is harmful, then definitely if that substance goes into the eye, through the eye it can easily go to the systemic circulation, and the hazardous consequences can be occur. So in that case the adequate direction for safe use should be there. means हम अगर सिंपल कोई भी आप प्रोडक्ट ले लो कॉस्मेटिक का, उसके ऊपर लिखा रहता है डायरेक्शन फॉर यूज और द intention, means something like that will be there definitely on that particular packaging. Any warning, caution, or special direction required to be observed by the consumer. A statement of the names and quantities of the ingredients that are hazardous or poisonous. First is the warning and the labeling condition should be the warning or the caution which is taken, which should be taken by the user, that should be there very distinctively visible to the consumer. This is the criteria, means for the external use only, or do not swallow, or something like that. Those statements will be very clear and clearly visible to the consumer. Then if it is contain any hazardous substance, then the amount of that hazardous or poisonous substance, in what amount that hazardous substance is present on that in that particular cosmetic, that should be mentioned, so that the consumer will get clear idea that how much amount of xyz ingredient is present, and if it is not safe, if my doctor is saying that this much of ammonia is not healthy for your health, then definitely I will avoid such cosmetics, I will avoid such hair dyes. Okay, so in that case, those statements should be there. A distinctive batch number, that is to say the number by reference to which details of manufacture of a particular batch from which the substance in the container is taken, are recorded and are available for inspection. The figures representing the batch number being preceded by the letter B. B stand for the batch number, and उसके आगे कुछ नंबर लिखा होगा, वो नंबर क्लियरली आइडेंटिफाई करेगा. हम किसी भी मेडिकल शॉप में या जनरल स्टोर में जाके अगर हमने कुछ सपोज इंस्पेक्टर ने कोई भी सैंपल उठा लिया, तो उसको क्लियर आइडिया आनी चाहिए कि ये कब फॉर्मुलेट किया गया है, कौन से बैच का है, कितने बजे आया है, और ये सारी जो डिटेल्स है वो उस कंपनी से मिलेगी. जो बैच नंबर होगा वो सारी डिटेल उस बैच की उस कंपनी से मिलेगी. Provided that this clause shall not apply to any in solid or semi-solid state, and 25 ml or less if the cosmetic in liquid state. So this is only applicable to the liquid doses, or the liquid preparation. If it is solid or semi-solid, then it is not required, or if it is less than 25, then also it is not required to mention the clear batch number. Correct. Then labeling of hair dyes containing dyes, pigments and color. उसमें क्या क्या होगा? Hair dyes containing paraphenylene or paraphenylene diamine shall be labeled with the following legends in English or लोकल लैंग्वेज. हमारे यहाँ पे इंग्लिश एज वेल एज लोकल लैंग्वेज में होता ही है, और समटाइम्स इट इज़ हिंदी. सपोज इफ द प्रोडक्ट इज़ फ्रॉम महाराष्ट्र, देन इट विल बी इन मराठी, इंग्लिश और हिंदी. and if it is manufactured in Gujarat, then it will be in English, Hindi and Gujarati. So likewise the local language में उसका use होता है. and if it is contain paraphenylene diamine, then there must be a label stating that this product contains such ingredients which may cause skin irritation. In certain cases, hence the preliminary test should be carried out to determine whether the hypersensitivity may exist or not. As such, use may cause blindness. ऐसा क्लियरली उस पर लिखा होना चाहिए हेयर डाइज पे, अगर उसमें पैराफिनिलिन डायमाइन है. एंड ये टेस्ट कैसे की जाती है? फॉर दिस टेस्ट यहाँ पे फॉर दिस टेस्ट cleans a small area of the skin behind ear or inner surface of the forearm with soap and water or alcohol. Then apply hair dye preparation on the skin and allow it to dry for 24 hours. After 24 hours, wash it with soap and water. If no irritation or inflammation occurs, the hypersensitivity does not exist. This test should be carried out before each and every application of the hair dye. ये clear message. अगर आपको रिमेंबर है, इफ़ यू रिमेंबर कि हम लेबलिंग कंडीशंस देख रहे हैं, तो उसमें जो भी पैराफिनिलिन डायमाइन कंटेनिंग जो हेयर डाइज है, उसके ऊपर ये कॉशन लिखी होनी चाहिए कि प्रिलिमिनरी टेस्ट आप करो. एंड प्रिलिमिनरी टेस्ट कैसे करनी है उसका इन्होंने यहाँ पे मेथड दिया हुआ है. ये मेथड भी पूरा का पूरा उस प्रोडक्ट पे आना चाहिए. तो उसमें उन्होंने क्या बताया कि 24 आवर्स के लिए हमें वो स्किन वॉश करके उस स्किन के लिए वो 24 आवर्स के लिए लगाना है. एंड आफ्टर 24 आवर्स हमने उसे वॉश कर देने के बाद अगर वहाँ पे इरिटेशन, इन्फ्लामेशन ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है, तो उस प्रोडक्ट के लिए हम हाइपर सेंसिटिव नहीं है. नाउ हाइपर सेंसिटिविटी रिएक्शंस क्या होती है? वो किसी एक प्रोडक्ट के लिए हमारी बॉडी की रिएक्शन होती है. वो हर कोई नहीं देता. सपोज ए पर्सन ने हाइपर सेंसिटिविटी दी उस प्रोडक्ट के लिए, तो इट इज़ नॉट नेसेसरी दैट बी पर्सन विल ऑल्सो गिव. ए पर्सन ने पैरासीटामोल ली तो उसका बुखार कम हो जाता है, बी पर्सन ने पैरासीटामोल ली तो उसका भी बुखार कम हो जाता है. But in case of hypersensitivity reaction, it is not the case. It is vary from person to person. That's why every person should carry out this preliminary test before every use. So that's why these conditions to be there. This test should be carried out before each and every application of the hair dye. These are the hair dye conditions. So this is all about the cosmetic. We have seen the sale of cosmetic which do not require license. We have seen the manufacturing of cosmetics, the general conditions of manufacturing. Although the cost manufacturing of cosmetic, sale of cosmetic, or the import of cosmetic is not as stringent as the as we if we concern about the allopathic drug, which we have seen from so many lectures or we have discussed in so many videos, it is not that stringent. But still, the drug and we are what we are looking at is Drug and Cosmetic Act. So there are the provisions so that we have seen right now. So these conditions to be followed, these conditions to be satisfied. If those the offense is means done by the licensing by the licensee, then the penalties will be there. So although it is not that stringent, as I said, there are some provisions. So we have seen those what we have seen what kind of ingredients are prohibited in the cosmetic, what should be the labeling for the hair dyes, everything. So this is all about the manufacturing, sale, import, and labeling and packaging of cosmetics. So that's it for today.